Alright, let's go. Let's put that phone on Silentia. Hello to me editing this at some point. I've got an hour. Let's do this. It has been raining at my house for about a month straight, and today the sun's come out, so that's why the lighting is as it is. But also, it's a chaotic mess here and you get what you're given. Hello, my name's Elizabeth. Let's talk about books. As you know, if you stuck around for a minute, we are talking about the books that I have read in 2022 in bite-sized chunks. And by bite-sized, I mean 5 books at a time, and I still just ramble on, and you know, I didn't sit down and collate my thoughts before I pressed record. I barely put the thing in focus. I mean, if it is focused, I will be surprised. Anyway, so there's a playlist somewhere there and down there, so you can check out the rest of them if you want. They're also linked on my website, which is linked below as well, and you know, links to books and stuff. Support my channel. Subscribe if you want to see more of these, because they are so randomly uploaded. Thank you for being here. I do actually appreciate it. I'm reading out of my bullet journal if you're wondering. I have a list of everything I've read so far. We're up to number 31, which is Paul M. Clark, The Witchfinder's Mark. Do you notice, I'm going to point this out to you now, I hold the books here. It's comfortable for me to hold them here, but that's the light source. And so I just put my face in shadow, but that's okay. Look at the book. Does that scream horror to you? Because that's what this book is. I read this one in June. Looks like it came out in June, and I read it maybe 2 weeks after it came out. It was one of those ones that are like free shipping from Booktopia, so I grabbed it because it's set during the English Civil War, so that's historical fiction, and I'm trying to read more historical fiction actually. I'm trying to be a person who enjoys historical fiction, not nitpicks where it's wrong, because I have like historical knowledge and a degree in medieval history. This is not medieval history, so that's okay. I don't know enough about it to complain, except that it deals with witches, and my honours thesis was about witches in England, kind of. That's beside the point. I later learned that the author is from New Zealand, but actually passed away about a week before publication, and so even though it says here a Samuel Hawke story, and the story is definitely written as the first in a series about Samuel Hawke, the main character, there will be no more forthcoming, I imagine. It was free on the Booktopia list because it's published by Booktopia's imprint, which I didn't realise Booktopia had a publishing imprint, so there you go. Anyway, I'm waffling because I didn't like this story at all. I gave it 2 stars, which means it was okay. I read the thing because I had purchased the thing. I struggled the whole way. It was just uninteresting to me. Definitely horror, like horrific things happen, disgusting things happen. Every character had the same voice. They were only distinguishable in the text by like the he said, she said. They all behaved in similar ways. The evil character was evil from the outset. There was no ambiguity about who was good, who was bad. The main character, Samuel Hawke, feels forced. Look, I'm going off my notes because I read this so long ago. I barely remember anything except that I generally did not like it. I've written ultimately tolerable debut that needed another pass to give the characters some life and some clarity to the plot. Like, I really don't remember anything except the character and his buddy cop rushing to and from all these places, like rushing here, rushing there, rushing back over here again. Like it was just all movement, all action, no character development. And I want a bit of, if I'm hanging out with these people, I want to get to know them, even if I don't like them. Although I didn't like these guys anyway. Distracted by Twitter. Okay, so that's that one. But you know, it's a shame there wouldn't be more and give the author a chance to extend their skill and find their voice. Do I even need to review this one? Literally everyone has read this book if they're going to read it. This is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And this is probably the best known installment in her alt Hollywood cinematic universe. And it's actually probably a shame that I read this one first. But This was amazing. I read it in 1.5 settings, which is so unusual for me because that's a big book and I don't like to sit down for that long. I read it in June. Yep, June this year. And I picked it up because of the hype, and the hype was not wrong. If you are into gossipy old Hollywood stories, this is the one for you. It's the tale of Evelyn, Hugo and her 7 husbands. Is it 7 husbands or just 7 marriages? I did count just to make sure. In a bit of an Elizabeth Taylor vibe, but also, you know, bringing other celebrity stories into the mix to make it into an individual character. And about Evelyn using these husbands as career progression in Hollywood. And then after she leaves Hollywood, because of, you know, eventually she ages. She's telling this exclusive story of her life to a journalist, the reasons for which become clear at the end. No spoilers. If you're looking for something quick to read and pacey and, you know, deliberately twisting your emotions and giving you the feels, highly recommend. It was, but you know, like, borrow it from the library. You don't have to buy it. It's not quality literature, it's fun literature. This one I read on my Kindle. So I've brought my Kindle just because I like to have a prop while I'm talking. It is bright yellow so that I can find it under my pillow. Or more likely under my husband's pillow, for which he gives me no end of shit. So this one's Jessie Mihalik, Hunt the Stars. Now, I also read this one in June this year, and that was for my book club, Sword and Laser. I will link them below too. This was a science fiction pick for the book club, but very quickly on, you will know if you've ever read a romance novel, this hits every single romance novel beat. There's like the meet cute and the trust issues and the, oh, I like him and he likes me and we have this amazing kiss, but then the trust is broken again, but then the sex. So that's not a spoiler if you've ever read a romance novel. So, but it's set in space, kind of. It's mainly the action is on the spaceship and then on a planet, and he's an alien, but I think you know exactly where the story has gone, and it was actually pretty fun to read. But then also, even though I don't particularly like the romance genre, this one had enough science fiction and enough of like a mystery plot to take the focus away from the poor tropes of trust issues and raunchy sex. So I gave it 3 stars. I did like it, but romance is not for me. Then I'm back on the paper books with Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I picked this up because like it had been on my radar for some time, and then a booktuber I watch talked it up and I was like, right, it's time to get it. So this is part of the genre of Greek myth retelling where women become central to the story rather than just plot point. This is the story of Ariadne and her sister Phaedra. They have a half-brother, the Minotaur, and they're daughters of King Minos. And as revenge against Minos, Theseus captures Ariadne and then abandons her. I don't think that Greek myth needs spoilers tags at this stage. But anyway, abandons her. And then it's Ariadne's life after she's been abandoned by Theseus, but also Phaedra, because Phaedra marries Theseus. It's the way that they live their lives and the different paths that 2 sisters take and the different deliberate choices they make in their lives, in their parenting, in their relationships to get through the day, get through their lives basically. And those conscious and subconscious choices that we all make to smooth the waters of our lives as best we can. And I really enjoyed it. That got 3 stars. What have I written here in my notes? Ariadne's innocence and betrayal, her growth in a safe place, and then her loss of innocence leading to her death ultimately. It's Greek, it's going to be tragic. And the last one is because I was reading Ariadne, I picked up Elektra because it just came out, and look at that cover. I wrote a fuller review of Elektra on my blog, the link will be below. I read this one in April, no, it came out in April this year. I read it in July. I said, and I wrote this in my review too, at about 3/4 through, I tweeted, Elektra is basically just Jesus fuck Agamemnon, you arsehat, from 3 different viewpoints. And I stand to that. And I mean, if you know the story of Agamemnon, you'll know why. And if you've ever heard of the Elektra complex, you'll know why I tweeted that. It is basically the story of revenge, like all good Greek myth, and even centering the women of this story, it is still basically how their lives have been fucked up by Agamemnon. It was okay. It wasn't as good or as compelling as Ariadne, even though there's a lot of story to work with because it is the Siege of Troy and the Trojan War. There's not as much to draw on because it's all about we hate Agamemnon, we want Agamemnon back, we want revenge for these circumstances perpetrated on us by this one dude. The 3 point of view women, they're all focused on a guy, and that's less interesting to me. But there also isn't really anywhere to go when it's still all revolving around Agamemnon. Anyway, if you want more cogent thoughts, read the blog. Not my fave, I preferred Ariadne, but reading them together too, of course I'm going to make those comparisons. They are separate stories and separate parts of Greek myth. So even though I'm making comparisons, that's not necessarily fair. Alright, my battery light is flashing. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for talking about books with me on Twitter and other places. Find me in all the places I've linked below, and have an excellent day. Bye.